All right, it's recording.
Okay.
We are live.
Right on.
And
We
also,
all
even though
sound
we're
good.
live, another thing to note is this is, let me see, because something I forgot to mention, Josh, is this, I'm recording this for like use later, but it is possible this will stream to Twitch, so you could do live streaming. It also
Hmm.
supports like literally everything else.
Whoa.
So we can finally start Simon's OnlyFans channel. Which I know
Hey.
we've been talking about for so long.
Yep.
Heck yeah.
So just something to follow up on later when we want to
Just know,
expand
Simon,
the brand.
this was our idea. Okay, so whatever you make on OnlyFans, you got to cut three ways, dude, for sure.
I we can negotiate contracts for sure.
All you really got to do is stick your feet up in the air, okay, and then have like a thick Asian accent. That's it, and you'll get so much money, dude.
I love how this
So much
is
money.
immediately turned into an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. This is literally, there's got to be an episode where they do this, right? There's like a plot where they have Danny DeVito starting OnlyFans,
Probably
and they try
they have to. Yeah, they have to. I'm sure they're gonna go there.
because they always do that to him, right? They have him do something insane.
His feet. Yeah, I think his personal Instagram is
Yeah.
him just going to places with his feet.
why I
Like he
thought
takes
of it.
pictures of his feet at a place. It's just weird.
And he
Okay.
always posts them under hashtag troll feet.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. All right. All
Yeah,
right.
it's weird. It's a weird thing to do. They talked about it on the podcast.
So
Yeah.
he just does it because of his own personal creativity.
He just does it
like,
on his
no-
own, yeah.
Okay.
It's
All
not like a coordinated media thing. He just does
Danny.
it. 'Cause he
Oh,
thinks it's
Danny.
funny.
That
Yeah.
DeVito.
Have you watched the episode yet of Sunny Simon?
No, I have not.
Dude, come on. You
I know.
he hasn't.
Like
This
you know what's-
podcast is not going to last very long with Simon.
Let's see. What has Simon seen? He's seen. I assume you've seen every Studio Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
I
about
have
it.
seen.
You've seen
every,
the last
every-
the last
The
unicorn,
Last Unicorn. For sure.
yes, I have. Reagan Bass, bro.
and I know you've seen
up?
the reboot of DuckTales.
I have.
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
That's the only thing he fights
That's pretty
about.
much
Like,
it.
I don't understand why they stopped making it. It's so sad.
Yeah, dude. It is. It's heck of messed up.
Because now
It's a
he's got to
great
go
show.
watch
It
a
was
whole
a
other show, and it's just
Yeah,
like that's a
yeah.
commitment Simon's not ready for. He just
I'm really not into commitment.
like I gotta
That-
start
that much is
over
true.
from episode
Ugh.
one again.
Just even you guys talking about this is causing anxiety for sure. that much is true.
All right, let's
So.
just get started then.
Okay.
Let's use it in there. Everybody, you know what you're watching. The Secret Hideout with Josh Roman, Simon Yu, and Jordan, the sexy stash Acosta.
Ooh, you're
I think
giving
we have
him
a good show
nickname
today.
now?
got right into
We have a
that.
really good show today. Yeah, we have a nickname for Jordan for sure.
Hey, we're doing something different though, aren't we? Right? It's
no.
not my stupid Zoom. You know,
It's
it's
not
like
just Zoom.
yeah, we're doing something official. It's actually a actual looking, legit looking. What are we?
Podcast.
We're making
Yeah,
an
there
effort.
we go.
We're making an effort.
Vlogcast, yeah, videocast, vidcast. I don't know.
And we all coordinated our attire for you guys as
did.
well.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
blacked out ourselves just so that we could feel like we're Steve Jobs and we're important.
Oh well.
'Cause we have-
Sorry,
we got
I
courses
thought
to talk about
the coordination was you were all wearing Sufjan Stevens branded merchandise. So sorry, it's not a black T-shirt. It actually
a
has
black
Sufjan
t-shirt
Stevens'
with-
face on it.
Yeah, with a face on it. Yeah, I think we have a really good show today. It's gonna be fun. I think there's a lot of good stuff going on, and I'll start it off. A little show review that I think I was looking forward to, even though I never played the video game. Last of Us
Okay.
came out last week. I was really intrigued. I think more because I'm a huge fan of Mr. Pascal. He's a fellow Hispanic who's killing it. 2022 and 2023 are his years for sure. 2023 is going to be a big year for him. He has Last of Us, which is, expected to do great. Great writers. It's a great game. And then reprising his role in Mandalorian as well. So, and then I think he has a movie coming out too. So he's a big year coming out, and I'm excited for him. Enjoyed Last of Us. It was to be honest, I don't know too much about it. So I watched the first episode. I was like, man, this is good. This is really good. And then I had to follow it up with can maybe you can bleep this out? I don't want to give them love because they don't show us love. But Nerdist, just bleep that part out.
Okay.
That website, I watched this website. They
I'm
kind of do
definitely going to do
reviews.
that. I'm definitely going to do that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to rewatch this whole thing. I'm going to edit it and bleep stuff out. Just so you
Just
will
so
rest
that we
easy.
don't, yeah. Anyways,
It's totally worth my time to do that stuff.
I think what
for the show, Jordan, for the show.
I think what we and when we bleep it out, we should do it like when Craig Ferguson did his Late Show. It's like ooh la la, or it just should be like random sound
It
bites.
would be in different languages.
Yeah.
But it's not
exactly.
a beep. It's like just something.
Exactly. That'd be choice.
Yeah, I'm
I'd like
gonna.
that.
Okay, then yeah, I'll do that. You can count on me to.
Yeah,
Sick.
We know.
That's what's up.
So
let's go back to Mandalorian without a mask. So how is that?
I enjoyed it, man, and I think I fell in love with it more after watching that review that Nerdist did, because they will show some of like the shot by shots, how they kind of matched up with the video game, some of the Easter eggs I wasn't aware of. And from what I understand, the show does go a little bit further in the storytelling than the video game even did. So some new things, some new aspects. I know it's episode 1. Episode 2 came out today. Did not get a chance to watch that, but I'm looking forward to. But I'm excited. Did you watch it all, Simon?
No, I have not watched it yet. So.
And then Jordan, you didn't watch it either. So
I have not yet.
That's the end of my segment. Thanks, guys.
All right. So we don't know if it's good or bad yet, but the first episode's pretty good. Josh likes it. He doesn't really know anything about the franchise, but
not at all.
Yeah.
I'm just riding on another. I'm just hoping this Mexican succeeds. You know what I mean? That there's another one out there we can brag about.
He's
you know what I'm talking about, Jordan? You know that feeling, right?
He's Chilean.
When he succeeds,
he's
we
Chilean.
succeed. Hispanic.
Yeah,
he's Hispanic.
Okay, just.
Did I say Mexican? He's Hispanic.
I mean, he did play a Mexican on TV.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Then that's fine. That works.
Honestly, let's be honest. Nobody in Mexico is going to be offended by us saying Pedro Pascal is Mexican. I think we all wish he was.
Right.
I don't have much to add there. I'm not a huge fan of the game. It's not bad. I haven't checked it out yet, but Pedro Pascal is great. I think it's great that Hispanic actors are diversifying from saving the Disney Corporation to saving other corporations.
Discovery. Yeah.
Discovery, Warner.
Yeah. Right.
Because it felt like Disney was hoarding them all for a while, like they just grabbing them all up. Because I don't know if there's any other big name Latin actors out there who haven't been given like a Disney franchise at this point.
That's true, huh?
Because like the other guy from Narcos, what's his name? It's Horta. Into Black Panther, and so between him and Pedro Pascal and
the werewolf,
Gail
Garcia Bernal, and then Andor,
yeah, Diego Luna,
just roping them all in, and I could not be happier. So yeah, good thing that he's getting more work. He's a great actor, and I think he's a good fit for the role. And I look forward to actually watching an episode. And I don't know if it'll be good or not, but I'm going to support him no matter what, because got to represent.
It's good. I enjoyed it. I liked it, and then I enjoyed it even more after.
I think
more about it.
I think the story was. I know a lot of folks who played the game who actually enjoyed the game, but I think. Jordan, you mentioned it off camera about like how it wasn't really a game per se, but it was more like an interactive movie, and like maybe the people enjoyed it more so because of the cut reels and stuff like that. But aside from that, like my cousin, I watched it vicariously through my cousin, and he loved it. He loved the game, and I think what it was is because it's kind of the standard zombie apocalypse show. Right. Aside from the fact that these zombies are actually, I guess, spoiler alert, fungus joined or fungus fused. You know what I'm saying? Like they're mushroom people. But like the same kind of like upheaval. Like you're not just fighting against zombies, right? You're fighting against like humans and all this other things trying to traverse through and stuff. But the final scene is the one that like the final scene is the thing that like, whoa, hold up, like, and I won't give it away, but like the final scene is kind of the thing that made Last of Us kind of like unique in a sense, where it's just like, okay, what you have to make a choice. What's the choice? And it was a heavy choice, and it was, I think that's what kind of made it kind of
It's what everyone
huge.
talks about
Yeah,
when
exactly.
they talk about it. Yeah.
Right. So
All right.
So it's no surprise. Like I'm oblivious to everything. I knew it was a great popular game, but it's no surprise what the ending is then to everyone, to most people.
Right.
If they stick to the story from the game, then it won't be a surprise. But that's what I'm wondering, if they'll actually do it, because everyone does. Because again, everyone who's played the game, even if you haven't played the game, you've probably heard about it. If you play games at all, it's just become such a famous, iconic thing that it might be a little boring if they just repeat what the game already did. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they end up doing.
So one of the in the first scene, the first movie, the first episode. What am I talking about? There is a scene that everyone talked about, was interested prior to the show coming out. Spoilers, all right, for sure. The way Pascal's daughter dies in the video game, and then in the show, everyone's looking forward to it. Kind of, not really. But they said that even though it happened, you knew it was happening, it still was very gut-wrenching and surprising at the same time. So
okay.
maybe there's
see.
a chance for it to be done in live action and feel still new.
Okay.
All right. Well, then I guess we will move on to the next item, our next item to review. And I'm sure everyone can't wait to hear about this.
Yeah.
Speaking of new and new different ways of making IP. Yeah, go for it.
The show everybody's talking about, that I have graciously spent time watching, because I love this franchise. I grew up with it. Still means a lot to me. I was kind of looking forward to this, and then after a lot of the early news, I was kind of looking forward to hating it. Some of the things I heard. But yeah, the show everyone's talking about, Velma. So wow, it's something. Okay.
As bad as the internet is saying. Do you feel
okay,
that
so
it-
yeah,
is it that bad?
let me start from there. I was okay. How did I say this last time when we were talking? Like, I was actually a little disappointed that it's not as bad as it. Like, people on the internet are losing their minds, like calling like. We were talking about, there's like this weird conspiracy theory going around that this is like a secret Republican psyop against liberals or something. That it's like there's no other reason the show could be so bad, right? It's not that bad. The first episode definitely doesn't help. It comes at you really strong, like it's really doing something. Like, oh, we're being really bold and daring, and I'll talk about why that's not the case, because I don't think it is as bold and daring as it clearly thinks it is. It gets better as the episodes progress. I've seen the first 4 so far. I still don't think it's like good, but I'll wait for Simon to turn his phone off so I can finish, so I don't get rudely interrupted again.
All right.
But yeah, I think so how do I break this show down? So this is, a new adult-oriented take on Scooby-Doo. Its biggest flaw is that there's no Scooby-Doo, or Mystery Machine, or not a lot of mystery solving in general. There's a lot of violence and swearing and drug use.
The synopsis. It was
It's Euphoria
Yeah.
for
it's Scooby Doo Euphoria.
yeah, Scooby Euphoria.
Euphoria. Well, okay. Let me try to break it down to 3 points. I think there's 3 things that I would. Okay, I'll start off by saying some nice things. Animation is actually pretty good, and it's clear that they're putting some effort. I think the show looks pretty good overall, actually. It's a little weird, definitely not in the classic style, but I don't mind it. And I think they do a good job with there's sort of this thing about Velma having these panic attacks, and she sees monsters, and the way they animate those, I'm like, all right, they're putting some effort into this, right? Cast is stellar. Anyone can go Google it, but it's a great collection of comedic talent. We were talking about It's Always Sunny earlier.
Yeah.
It's the Golden God himself.
Glenn Howard.
Howerton, yeah.
Sorry, Howerton.
Best part of the show.
Fred.
Yeah, he's Fred. I think he's the best part of the show. He's really good. His performance is really good. And while I'm not sure I 100% agree with what they do to Fred in this series, I think he does a good job with it. Dude. So I think I mentioned there's a whole subplot about him not having gone through puberty and how this has led to him having deep anxiety about his masculinity. And he desperately craves approval from his very masculine father, but he doesn't think he can get it. And there's a point in which it becomes very important to the central plot of the show that he has a small dick.
It's micro penis.
Yeah. And this is there's I don't know how to rationalize that decision. I'm trying to imagine being in a writer's room and be like, this is a great idea, guys. This is what the Scooby-Doo franchise needs. It needs Fred to have a small dick. And that brings me to what doesn't work about the show. Yeah. What doesn't, and I've been thinking a lot about this because there's a lot happening in it. And it's not a lot of this. So there's this vocal minority of people online who be like, Shaggy's black now and Velma's Indian. And it's no, that's not the issue with the show. That's all fine. This is Scooby-Doo. It's teenagers and a talking dog.
Is Velma Indian or is that just the voice of Mindy?
No, she's Indian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her father, her father and mother, they commit to that, and I don't think that's they do a good job with it, and that's not the issue with the show at all. The whole diversity inclusion stuff is all fine, and they've done stuff like that in Scooby before. Velma's been Hispanic, Velma's been Asian, she's been Jewish. This is not new.
I think Daphne also previously was Asian. Oh, I'm sorry, you said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, in occasional they've done different live action adaptations. So this is not new. They've also made Velma bisexual before. That's also not new. This back in Mystery Inc. So whatever, man. Let's get over it. But the stuff that doesn't work, I think one is that it comes at you really strong. We've got so much to say, and it just feels ham-fisted. There's a lot of this when comedy is delivered in this very blunt way and it feels like they're just smacking you over the head with it. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of pointing out tropes about the franchise. Even times where it feels almost like they're pausing for a laugh track or something. And there isn't one, and it's a cartoon, so it's weird. It feels weirdly dated. So a lot of the humor feels like it might have been edgy back in 2000. Right, where they're talking about popularity. It's always the rich white kids who are popular and other kids aren't. I'm well, yeah, but this isn't a new thing to say.
Right.
This is such a well-established road for comedy to go down. There's so if you've seen Mythic Quest, there's this great scene there. There's a character on there who's very much like Velma. She's a young lesbian woman who's a tester at the game company. And she's always lecturing people about progressive causes and stuff. And she's insufferable. But there's a scene where she's driving. He's the CEO of the company. I forget his name in the show, but it's the guy from It's Always Sunny.
Right.
Rob
McElhenney.
Yeah.
And there's this joke that he owns this $100,000 sports supercar, but he can't drive it because he doesn't know how to drive stick. because he's so pampered
Right.
for her in his life. Like, and so she's driving him somewhere in his supercar and complaining about like, you know, how easy he has it and how difficult it's been, and like, when is she going to get her shot? And he's just like sitting there rolling, so like, right now. And she's like, what do you mean? It's like, right now is your shot. Like, you're sitting in the car with the CEO of the company. Like, what do you want? Just ask me right now. Right? And then she pulls over on the side of the road and has a panic attack because she realizes she doesn't actually know what she wants. Like, she's lived her whole life like being like, oh, I'm so oppressed, and if only I had my chance. But now that she's finally got it, she doesn't exactly know what to do with it.
What to say? Yeah, it's cool.
And that's a much smarter way to talk about where we are today, where it's all like, you're in this weird transitional place where like, we live in a country where in some states you can be openly gay or whatever and it's fine. And in other states, right, they're actually trying to pass laws to like make that stuff illegal. Right. And it's complicated, right? But Velma feels like it's from this earlier time, like the 90s or something, where like when Will and Grace was made, where just like you could just make jokes about people being gay and that was funny because they were gay. Like that was it. That's the joke, right? So it feels weirdly dated. And at the end of the day, I have to ask myself, like, who is this show for? And I think that's where I have to say, like, while there are aspects of it that kind of work, here's the thing that's weird about it. I feel kind of dumb sitting here talking about like, oh, these are high schoolers and there's all this high school drama. And like, as a man in his 30s, I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
And there's this part of my brain that's like, God, it's just a cartoon for kids. Like, why do you care so much? But then I'm like, wait, but this is intentionally not a cartoon for kids.
Not for kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Who is this for? It's supposed to be for people like me who grew up with Scooby-Doo and are now adults and still watch animation. Right. And so if it doesn't work for me, I don't know who this show is for. I am literally the guy they're trying to sell the show to. And it's just weird. It's not for kids, but it doesn't feel mature enough to be for adults. It's like a ham-fisted version of the Venture Brothers, right?
So I was going to bring that up. The way that you're describing it sounds like, probably a really bad botched episode of the Venture
Brothers, who did a Scooby-Doo episode once, which was a little bit smarter. But also, like, the Venture Brothers took the same basic template, which was like, it's the Hanna-Barbera universe, Johnny Quest, and basically showed sort of a more mature take on how unhealthy so much of that was, right? And how like the boy adventurer grows up to, you know, be addicted to like painkillers and sleeping pills, right? And and so this show feels kind of like it's trying to do the same thing, but it doesn't really have, like, the Venture Brothers are just so smart and just understands the source material so well.
Right.
And I feel like this one just doesn't quite get there, you know? So yeah, I'm going to stick with it. Mostly because we're trying to start a podcast, so I feel like I want to talk about where this goes.
Hey, don't blame the secret hideout on this.
There's this part of me that kind of like is kind of rooting for it in the sense that Mystery Inc., so that show I mentioned from back in like the early 2000s, just to give you an idea of how dated this show feels, right? This feels like a worse version of that because a lot of what they're trying to do, they did on that show.
Okay.
But they did it a little smarter, and they kept it all ages. They kept Scooby. They kept the fucking dog, right? They kept Scooby-Doo. They had the mystery machine, but a lot of this stuff they still did, just in a more subtle way. And there's this part of me that always kind of wish they would go back to that and do like a more PG-13 take on Mystery Inc., right? That could be enjoyed by adults, but would still be relatively kid-friendly. But this just goes way too far, you know? There's like literally this show starts with like, oh, the teenage girls are being murdered by having their heads cut open and their brains removed. And they keep finding them in trash cans, and they fall out and the top of their head falls off and you see like their head is empty.
Yeah, that's normal young adult experience. Absolutely.
Holy crap.
There's like, it's like really gruesome. There's an entire episode about Daphne teaching Velma how to sell drugs. She's got like a suitcase full of drugs, and they're just going around the school, and she's like teaching them like how to sell drugs. And the joke of the show is that Velma can't sell drugs to people without being judgmental about it. So like she's trying to sell like steroids to these guys in the gym, and then she starts talking about like, yeah, you should do that. I mean, yeah, there's going to be side effects when you turn 40, and you know, blah blah blah. But you know, And who cares about that? You only care about now, right? That's the joke. it's like,
All right.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's weird. It's a weird show. I want to see where it goes. It's not even hate watching. I'm genuinely kind of interested to see how they make it work, because I don't know if they can. So yeah, that's Velma. I don't know if you guys haven't seen it yet. I recommend you at least watch the first episode just so you can understand the emotions I'm experiencing right now, having seen this thing.
It looks like they're 4 episodes in right now, right?
Yes.
So there's a total of 10 episodes, which is going to end on February 9th.
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch a couple. I'll probably for sure see one. I don't know. I'm going to see one for sure, and we'll see where it goes from there. I was looking at the creator, Charlie Grandy and Mindy, the voice of
Mindy
Velma.
Kaling.
Yeah, she's also the creator. So,
And you're right, Jordan. It has a stellar cast.
Yeah,
Sam Richardson
really
is that Norval. I guess it's not Shaggy anymore. His name is Norval.
His name was always Norval.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, well,
that's his real name. Shaggy's his. You think his parents named him Shaggy?
Yes, I did. I thought they were like this really hyper,
No.
progressive.
So this is what I'm getting at, because I've seen a lot of people like, his name is Norval now. What the hell is that? His name was always Norval, even from the original series. It's just people didn't call him that. His nickname was Shaggy, right? It's just in this show he hasn't met Scooby yet. That's not his nickname yet. They don't have the mystery machine yet, so he is just Norval all the time.
So it's an origins. It's an origin
story.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we all know how much people love origin stories.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
they're the best. Yeah, no, it's a stellar cast of voice actors. Yeah. So okay. All right, very good.
All right,
So
moving right along, Simon.
All right, so mine is technically not a show, but it's based off a show, a loving, cherished show of children of the '80s who grew up at that most wonderful time of Saturday morning cartoons. It's a game actually, and so I guess it was part of the algorithm on YouTube to suggest showing the trailer for me. But the game is called Shredder's Revenge, and I don't know if you guys knew about this, but I guess Netflix now are doing games, and the cool thing about I guess Netflix doing games is your membership pays for it basically. So you're just getting these free games through Netflix.
This is not an ad for Netflix.
No, it's not. And we're going to explain exactly. And we'll explain our lament with Netflix sooner as we progress to this episode.
We'll talk about Netflix more.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay. But so it's called Shredder's Revenge. It's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game. And the play is kind of like that 2D fighting game, like Double Dragon, right? The gameplay reminds me a lot like Turtles in Time, the arcade game. And it's amazing. It's actually super fun. It's all the nostalgia that I want and I guess I need in life. And they do it well. They do it really well. So and not only just the video, it's not only just the show, but the toy line. Like, you know how like it was the 4 turtles and then like every creature that becomes a animorph kind of thing known to man. Like, so like they're all there. So they're like, there's like what was it? The Rat King, he's a boss. There's like there's this beaver mole that's a boss. There's a robotic bull that's a boss. Like, it's all the toys that you can imagine from the toy line, and they do it. And like you know, like the ships, like the turtle van or like the sewer like mobile. I don't know what their names were, but like you see it, and it's just like, oh shoot, I remember this toy. I remember that. So it's heavy nostalgic, but it's a fun game. It's a little more challenging because there's a lot more moves that you have to remember, like super combo moves, which is great. It's and like they give you this really cheap, stupid tutorial in the beginning. You won't remember everything, but like you learn to find and discover these new moves, and it's like, okay, this is cool. And and you get to have everyone. You can play with everyone. So it's all the Turtles, the Splinter, April O'Neil, and Casey Jones. And yeah, it's a phenomenal game. I can
So
just go on and on about how cool it is.
So it's a throwback to Turtles in Time. I was watching a
Yes.
trailer and like you can definitely tell like, all right, this is what they're going for, right?
Right. Right.
I remember hearing about this game a while back when they first announced it, and it's on Steam
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah, you're right. The weird thing here is, I checked because you mentioned Netflix, and yeah, like you install it from the App Store on your Android phone or iOS, right?
Right.
Through your Netflix account. It's
Yeah.
installed as a separate app, but like you install it as almost like a Netflix add-on, which I thought was really an interesting way to distribute a game.
Right.
And essentially means it sounds so what that means is Netflix has licensed the game and they don't want to stream it because streaming still I guess isn't quite there yet. I mean, we all know what happened to Google Stadia, right? That just like crashed and burned. But they're trying to like set up that revenue model at least. That's the weird thing about this to me, right? Like I mean, I would never buy it this way. I'll probably just get it on Steam like I buy everything.
Sure.
But yeah, there's a lot of people who probably like, I mean, who doesn't have Netflix these days? And there's a lot of people who might just install it because they don't have to pay extra for it.
Exactly.
And clearly, I think the wider story here is this does fit pretty neatly into Netflix's like nostalgia strategy because they've rebooted how many different like cartoons and things from the
Right.
80s and stuff. Yeah.
Voltron, She-Ra,
He-Man, yeah, all that stuff.
yeah, He-Man. But the really cool thing, like you guys mentioned, is that like if I want to go to GameStop or even buy it on Amazon, it's $34.99
Oh, wow.
right now. So heck of a
That is a
deal if
lot.
you have Netflix.
Yeah.
Get it for free, upload it for free, play it. So I'm excited. I was, again, like Jordan said, I viewed a trailer and it looks like it's not just you progress to the next level. It's like there's a mapping.
Yep.
And you could choose what levels you want to go
Yeah.
to. The characters you could pick are really cool. Casey Jones looks amazing. And just because I bought the the Ninja Turtles Cowabunga collection for Switch, and me and my son played, and you just button mash. You just close your eyes and let button mash and beat the game, which me and my son did. But this looks like there's a little bit more technique. There's skill.
Yeah.
Combos you could build on your characters. You could like upgrade your character. Is that true?
I don't know about upgrading, but heck, why don't we just put it in there just to boost this?
Boost it up, yeah.
Boost it up.
Which, if you could, that'd be actually really cool. You could upgrade your characters, like ability, skills, or combos, or fighting, whatever. That'd be
Simon,
amazing.
your job isn't to sell the game. If we're going to start doing that, we should probably like reach out to somebody and see if we can get
Sure.
a little.
Yeah, you're
'Cause
right.
They will
but-
pay you to do that. We don't need to do it for
What?
free.
Are you serious? It's like, no way. But yeah, now I think if it's on Steam, I might prefer it that way because one of the things I don't enjoy is the controls are on your screen. And like I'm kind of that old school tactical, that tactic feel of the buttons pressing down and the D-pad moving.
Well,
and stuff
they're
like
on
that.
your screen if you get them through Netflix because you're getting it like
Right.
on a mobile device.
That's
Yeah.
exactly right. That's exactly right. And so like I mean, for the sake of convenience, I understand why they do that, but that's kind of my personal gripe of it. I've never
Yeah, but that's every mobile game.
That's right.
Like if
That's
you just
exactly
get it through other channels, I'm sure you just play it. Like
Exactly.
So I'm probably gonna buy. I'm gonna get around to buying a Steam Deck, and this will probably be at the top of my list of things to get for that platform. Because these kinds of retro style games, like they're not super CPU intensive, they're not super graphically intensive. They're perfect for that like smaller mobile platform.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Because yeah, you
Those
mentioned
Steam
that,
Decks
and I
are
was
no joke.
curious. Dude, when they first got announced, a lot of people were like, yeah, this is pretty good. It's still flaky, but like I saw an article recently where it said like it's reached a point now where like, look, this is stable. It's time. It's time to buy. Like if you've been holding off,
Right.
it's time.
Just get it
like it's
now,
the
yeah.
best deal in gaming. It plays everything smoothly, right? And I've been waiting because I'm like I didn't want. I was one of those guys who bought multiple Steam controllers and then they discontinued them, and now you can't get replacement parts.
Oh,
And
dang.
that was not the wisest expenditure. So I was waiting, but the reviews are so stellar now for the current iteration of it. So this is something I'll definitely be checking out in the
Nice.
future.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Game Gear on steroids.
Yes, I love my Game Gear. It's my favorite console. I still have it in the closet.
What? Dang, dude.
It's in the official Game Gear Sega branded plastic hard shell case.
Wow.
I've got like 20 games. I love that thing, dude. For a few years I carried that everywhere. I even bought like the extended battery pack that you clip to your belt.
Wow, nice.
To get 2 extra hours of battery life.
Yep. Hey, those 2x that's 120 minutes of gameplay, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally needed that for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that Game Gear died so quick, man. I remember my cousin having one. I played it, and you put 4 AA's, and then all of a sudden it's boop, you're dead.
Yeah.
Wait,
But
what just happened?
it was in full color. That's what you get for it, and the screen lit up, so you didn't have to do the thing when you were sitting in the back seat driving somewhere at night of like waiting for the lights to come over the window to try to see the screen. It was so bright and beautiful and amazing. I don't know. At some point, maybe we'll do an episode about my Game Gear and how awesome it is.
Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. Nintendo had an accessory for that. It's like, why don't... Yeah, it's like, we're not going to do what Game Gear does. We're not competing with them. We're not at that level. We'll do something better. Oh, I know. We'll have 2 little blinker flashlights that you turn on that you gotta latch on awkwardly on top of your Game Boy.
They had the little lights.
Yeah, and even though there's 4 batteries in a Game Boy, there's gonna be 2 more batteries that they need for this stupid light.
Right.
Yeah, it's like that's how we'll beat Game Gear.
I actually bought this, like, it was a cover for your screen, right? And then you end up folding it out. And it's a magnifying glass that has built-in lights underneath.
I remember that.
Yeah, that thing sucks so bad, dude. Because if you didn't have the right angle as you're looking at it, it messed the whole thing up. It'll look directly. You couldn't just like be lazy and it'll look at the specific angle.
Yeah, exactly. I guarantee, like, if you rigged up all the accessories on a Game Boy, you'd have a primitive, like, laptop game console.
Right.
It's like it's like 25 pounds. You know, it's just like, so.
I have 4 Game Boys at home. Or here.
Really?
Yeah. Someone just gave them to me. Like, I got some Game Boys, and I had like 10 games. So.
I mean, you're joking about the laptop, Simon, but they literally made computer peripherals for, like, they have a printer. They had a printer.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And a camera attachment.
Yeah,
a camera.
Dude, that is nuts. That's crazy. It's like, wow. Yeah. And it's just like, then it's like cloud programming, cloud platforming. It's like, what? No more cartridges.
1,000 Game Boys in a server array.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Networked together.
Like, you mean I don't have
all together? They give you 1 gig of RAM.
Yeah. Right. Oh man. So the way of the future.
Josh is getting tired of my computer jokes already.
No.
The way of the future.
I love them.
So if we're good on the retro
done,
gaming
dude.
segment,
Shredder's Revenge. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Dun, 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 dun.
So a lot of rumors going on. 2023. Yeah. So let me do my segment, Simon. Let me.
Please, I'm sorry.
Do my damn segment.
No. I'm not going to apologize. I thought this was my segment. I thought.
Where's your name at? When did you claim you're going to do this?
First of
when
all.
When did you say I'm going to do this?
No. First of all, I was tasked to do this section.
When did you fill out?
Not this particular episode.
When did you fill out all those topics?
None of these topics. This specifically, none of these topics. So
I'm gonna trust you with my topics.
Okay.
I'm gonna trust you to take over and lead my topics. Is that how we're gonna do this, Simon?
You know what, Joshua?
You
this
think you're just
micro
entitled
penis energy
to rumors?
is just something that I'm not really all about. So
Simon's just entitled to rumors all of a sudden, huh? Don't you feel like you are? You did it one time, and now you're entitled to going forward. Simon's show for rumors.
Whoa,
you know what, Simon? Go ahead, take over. Let me see what you got.
All right. So word on the street is there's going to be a Captain Planet movie, and Leonardo DiCaprio wants to direct it. How'd that go?
If you read every single headline, just like that, you can continue to do this segment forever. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
The energy,
all right.
the spunky 13-year-old kid energy you just brought.
That's what I exude.
That headline.
That's exactly my motivation.
Yeah,
And
no, I
all
love
that
it.
all that talk about Game Gears and Game Boys brought 13-year-old Simon back to life.
Oh my god.
All right.
I sorry, I forgot the opinions I had about the Captain Planet movie. That probably isn't going to happen because Simon's just like, just that reading. That's just so distinctive,
Yeah.
so memorable, so full of gusto.
Definitely something the show needs. Definitely something the show needs.
Let me break the ice here. I want Don Cheadle to be Captain Planet. That's
We
all
all
I
want Don
That's
Cheadle
all.
to be Captain
We all
Planet.
need Don.
Yeah.
We
We
all
all
need
agree
some
on
Don
that.
Cheadle to be Captain Planet.
I'm sure Don
That'd be-
Cheadle would like to be
Tree.
Captain Planet.
Tree.
Excellent.
I think in the vein of refashioning children's properties as cynical, cruel, R-rated,
Dark.
adult fare.
Gritty.
They should reboot Captain Planet, but it shouldn't have more violence. It should have sex and drug use.
Yep.
Children should be
We
in
saw
danger.
Euphoria recycling show.
Yeah, Euphoria for environmentalists. It's
That's the
Captain
shtick
Planet.
now. When we say let's make things adult themed, that this is our shtick.
just Euphoria for-
Let's
yeah.
just say Euphoria for insert
Yeah,
whatever
right.
IP there it is.
I think like I think I mentioned this earlier. Like they're gonna make a new Darkwing Duck, and I think if Velma works out, then obviously what they should do is make it a NC-17 style show.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
right.
Euphoria for ducks, I guess.
Dude, how crazy
Kind of
would
like
it
Howard
be
the
if
Duck.
it was
Kind of like how Howard the Duck opened up its movie with that
Oh,
naked
Howard the Duck.
You know
inside
what I
the
just
pool.
said? Yeah,
Just
go ahead. Or like Old Boy, but it's Darkwing Duck.
But with ducks.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's the new direction of the Disney Duckiverse.
That makes
I want to
Yeah.
see Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, but with ducks. I want to see The Raid, but with ducks. I think we can all agree that would be
That's Emmy worthy material.
Yeah, fruitful direction to go. Yeah, to really explore the potential for that brand. Like Disney's
Yeah.
leaving money on the
Yeah.
table by not embracing a more adult
Zack
audience.
Snyder's Darkwing Duck. That's what we need. He's just killing everybody. He's just killing everybody.
You want to see Darkwing Duck and Uncle Scrooge try to kill each other?
Right. It's, and then down the line, there's gonna be this secret Snyder Quacker cut. You know?
A 4-hour long episode.
Yeah,
of DuckTales?
Just to give you the greater dynamic and context of the
Everything's in slow motion.
tension.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
But back
to the Captain Planet movie. So it's not just Leonardo DiCaprio though. It's because he was in the guy who was in Top Gun. He was the asshole pilot. The pilot was like a jerk, and then he redeemed himself at the very end.
Yes, that guy.
Right.
I think the idea is he would be in it.
Rooster's son.
No,
No.
not Roosters.
It's,
first off,
Oh, yes,
it's
yes.
Goose. Goose's son is
Yes,
Rooster,
sorry.
but not Rooster. The other
Right.
guy, yeah,
Yeah.
the guy
I'll
who's
get him.
picking fights with Rooster all the time.
Is that gonna be the redhead, the fire one?
I don't know. Just
What if
Simon's
they're
son is
all like
investigating.
racist kids? They're all like grew up and they're just racist. They hate each other, and they have to learn to like love each other and work together to bring out Captain Planet.
That would be amazing.
That'd be a good one, right? Like they're just stereotype racism going on.
They're just constantly.
It's like the Power
calling each
Rangers in
other.
the '90s. Like each character is a certain thing.
I mean,
Well,
that's
that's
what they
exactly-
did with everything in the '90s, though, right? They picked a kid from every
Right.
race. They gave them a bunch of stereotypical traits, and then put them in a costume that was the color of their skin.
That was that. Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
they tried their best in the '90s to diversify.
But the only one that was sexual was a Pink Ranger, right? Because we know she's not pink,
Well, it was
but
always-
we know what is pink.
There was
You know what I'm
always
saying? Like
a girl, right? There was always a
Right.
girl. There could only be one.
because of a JJ.
Right.
And her whole
right.
thing was that she was the girl. That was her entire. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would
But
be.
I don't know. I guess it'd be interesting. Leonardo DiCaprio. Do you think it'd be a comedy or would it be something serious? Because he's a huge environmentalist. You know that, right?
Yeah, I felt that was the reason why he wanted to do this, right? Like,
Right. Yeah.
so, now correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard somewhere like the UN sponsored or helped, produce the show back in the day. Like it was, I just heard that. I don't know how true that is. But anyways, yeah, it's like it was kind of like there was always like the afternoon messaging at the end is like, hey, stop using aerosols. It's bad for the environment,
Right.
kind of thing. And
Well,
so
they
it's just
tried
like
to make it, yeah. Here's the thing, though. There's like a level of that you can do while making something intentionally corny, which works, right? Like it's a Saturday morning cartoon, like it's for kids. Like you can just do that. I don't know how you translate that into something that's not into like a. I don't know you translate that into like a wide release, $200 million movie because it would have to be if they're gonna do Captain
Right.
Planet with all the special effects of him like flying around and stuff. Unless they just intentionally, unironically recreate Captain Planet with a big budget. Like they change nothing, like literally nothing about the show. They just make a big hour and a half version of it that looks 10 times better, right? That would certainly be weird. I mean, that's well, okay. Here's the real question, right? Obviously, yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio would try to make a serious environmental message. I mean, he was in, and also wasn't he a producer on that Netflix movie, Don't Look Up, right?
yeah,
Where
yep,
Yeah.
there's a meteor falling, right? And a lot of the criticisms of that movie from like movie critics were just like its message is just so in your face, and it's kind of banging over the head with it all the time. It's not even really a movie.
Yeah,
It's just about the message. Yeah.
yeah, right.
Um,
It's
and-
basically a big budget Christian movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I
Like,
liked
yeah,
it though.
like-
I loved it. I thought it was
Oh, Don't Look
hilarious.
Up. You
really.
loved. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I heard
I loved it.
I heard it was funny. Just like as a movie, it felt like
The
We're all
message
idiots.
is yeah,
You guys are all idiots.
yeah.
You're following idiots.
Okay.
Yeah, but I loved it. I was like, yeah, we pretty much are. I mean, we're so dependent on all this stuff, what people say. You know what I mean, and our information comes from certain sources. But yeah, sorry to cut in, but so WB owns Hanna-Barbera, which Captain Planet falls underneath. I didn't know it was a Hanna-Barbera
I
property.
did not know that.
Yeah. But there is a Captain Planet Foundation that became an independent public nonprofit.
Ah.
And that's owned by Laura Turner, who was Ted Turner's daughter. So
Okay. Okay.
they have to coexist somehow. I don't know if Turner's still around.
No, he's not.
Turner Syndicate, the foundation or the
Oh, okay.
I guess the networking, whatever it is. But Captain Planet is owned by WB. The foundation, which I'm sure is gonna have to be tied into somehow when they do make the movie, right? We'll have to figure that out on how the rights go
Interesting.
or funding goes to, right? So it's a nonprofit. You figure it's part of the money's gonna have to go there in order for them to make this film.
The more we talk about it, the more I was like, I kind of want to see it. I want to see how they do it. I'd like I don't know if it'll be good. I have a hard time believing it will be good. But that only makes me kind of want to see it more, honestly.
I think everyone's like, I want to see it, right? Because someone like Leonardo DiCaprio wants to make it, and he doesn't just make anything. He doesn't just sign up for anything.
Sure.
You know, everything he does is critically acclaimed.
He's
Going
gonna
to
try.
get nominated,
He's
right?
gonna try. Yeah.
But I think if he gets a good writer, if he gets an acclaimed writer on it, after that, we'll be like, oh, okay. That'd be interesting then.
Dude,
It'd be
okay.
interesting to see.
What if he goes down the line and he's like, you know what? I don't think I'm able to direct this. Let's have Martin Scorsese do it.
And Martin Scorsese reads the script and he's gonna be like, this is cinema.
And he's the first one to make fun of comic book movies.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Yeah.
now let's
It's like
get this.
It's like
This is
Leo,
Power
Leo.
Rangers for queers.
Leo. I know you heard my interview about Marvel movies and stuff like that, but I think this could work. I think this is great. Let's do this. This is great. Let's go.
Right.
I'm all on board. Yeah.
Not everyone liked Captain Planet back in the day. You know what I mean? It was definitely the weird kids that liked them. And you had to have cable too, because it wasn't on regular TV.
I feel like everybody
was cable
likes
TV.
Captain Planet, ironically. Like, there's a certain appeal to it, but it's not like...
Right. Like, I felt like that was the whole point. It's just like, it's like, how do we make kids love the environment? You know what I'm saying? And like, I was like, oh, I know.
Let's give them
we'll
rings.
make a cartoon. Yeah.
And they'll be troopers, and they fight. Well, one will have earth, he'll be black. One will have fire, he'll be white. Water will be Asian. And then Heart will be some indigenous Indian.
Yeah, right.
The Indian kid with the monkey.
Yeah.
Was he indigenous Indian or Indian from India?
I thought he was from India.
You're right. He had a monkey. You're absolutely right.
For some reason. To show that he has a big heart, I guess.
Right. Exactly. He loves the animal.
But like, do you remember when like they all turned villains, or like it was in the set in the future?
Yep. Yeah, and it was
that episode.
It was the Indian kid with heart.
It was basically
it was basically oh shoot, It's a Wonderful Life. That was the kind of episode it was. So like he was like, I'm gonna quit, and then it's like, oh no, don't quit, this is what's gonna happen, you're the heart of the team, you know. And everyone else, like the American kid who was fire, like he gets so angry, and he's like, I think he becomes like an eco-terrorist or something like that, and like right. And so it's just like, and then everyone's just are apathetic because it's like, and like they see the world and just like hyper developed and stuff, and I was like, no, I can't do this. Yeah. And then he wakes up.
There was a British girl, right, or a German girl? What does she have?
I think she
was Russian. She was Russian. Yeah, she was Eastern European. Yeah. So
what was her ability?
She was either water or air.
Oh, that's right. There was air.
I thought she was air.
Okay.
I remember almost nothing about this show. So I was like, you guys are talking like, there's an episode in the future? What?
Right. I have, it's like deeply ingrained certain episodes. Like Whoopi Goldberg, like offered her talents. She was like Gaia. Yeah, she was the goddess of Earth. And it's just like, oh, okay, so this is a theocracy, I guess. So
Gaia was the Zordon, basically, the show, right?
That's right.
She,
that's exactly right.
Brought them together.
Exactly. And so with our powers combined, and then there was an anti-Captain Planet. I don't know what the name was, but
that's right.
Yeah,
it was all the sludge ones, right?
Yeah. Like all the polluters said, like, we need to have our own captain, whatever, and like and so there was an anti-Captain Planet. Yeah. All to say, they need Don Cheadle to do it. They have to have Don Cheadle to do it. I think it would be really awesome and phenomenal. Yeah.
The villains were kind of scary, actually. Now that I remember, I'm looking at them.
And they were like borderline Nazis, basically. Like they had like the Sieg Heil salute to greet each other and stuff like that. So it's just like, okay, all right.
That's right. They turned him into basically G.I. Joe villains. Like they couldn't just be
humans.
Yeah.
There's only two humans. There's like the rich snob guy, and then the woman that had the hair cover her eye.
Right.
But then there's like a radioactive guy who wore a Hawaiian shirt.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
And then there was the Rat King.
Yeah, who oddly looks like a terrorist from like, you know, the Middle East.
Yeah. No, 100%. And then there was a pig-looking man.
Yeah.
That guy always scared me. He always looked weird.
No,
and then like this junkyard man who looks Hispanic.
So
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was a really interesting show, to say the least. But yeah, if Leo wants to do it, Don Cheadle.
Well, this may be a good segue into the next thing we want to talk about.
Okay,
go ahead, Simon. Simon, go ahead.
All right. It's been long awaited by many fans, but possibly, hopefully, with the success of the new up-and-coming Super Nintendo Mario movie, we might actually see a Legend of Zelda film adaptation. Thoughts?
Has this been long awaited by fans?
I don't know. I'm just
It has been. It has been. I think for a long time, people have been wanting a Zelda adaptation, and I think a lot of people wanted a live action Zelda. But I know we've talked about it prior, even before, just live action versus something that was like a video game that has a lot of obscure characters or even like fantasy type elements. Like, what would be better, live action or animation for something like this?
animation.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
not a
would
tough
you
question.
would you say the same thing about something like Lord of the Rings?
So they've done an animated Lord of the Rings before, back in the
But that's like the
70s and 80s.
'80s, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved them. I loved them. They were
Did you?
phenomenal. Yeah,
Yeah, animation would be better to adapt the books because the movies basically just leave out anything that would be difficult to do in live action.
right, right, right.
I mean, one of the things about the Lord of the Rings movies is that I mean, this is, and I think this is one of the reasons that the Hobbit movies came out so bad, right? Is that they drop all the fairy tale stuff and they focus on like the epic, sort of like the influence of Beowulf on the book, right? Where it's like it's a little bit gritty, it's tragic, right? It's more sort of human focused, and they kind of stick to that, and it works. It makes That's part of what makes the movies work is they focus on that element rather than trying to adapt everything, right? They leave out stuff that would kind of look probably a little weird or even dumb in live action. So, like the ring wraiths in the movie, they fly around on basically dragons or something. In the book, they fly around on like giant crows, right? So that would look a
Right.
little bit weird in live action. In the books, the wolves, the wargs they ride around on, are wolves. They're not like giant hyenas, and like I think some of them can talk, right? Like so,
right,
like there's a
right.
lot of stuff that like you could do in animation that would work just fine and nobody would question it. But if you tried to make it live action, it would definitely come off kind of funky, right? I think that's true of The Legend of Zelda as well. You could do a live action version, but you'd have to, I don't know, you'd have to crank it all down a little bit and make it more realistic. And I think Zelda is just a little bit too fairy tale for that. I think like a Studio Ghibli approach, right? I mean, if you just literally
Yes.
hired Studio Ghibli to do it, it would probably work fine.
You know what's
Something
funny?
in the
Like,
vein of Spirited Away or
yep,
yeah.
yep. They're like in the same vicinity. Why didn't the CEO of Nintendo just walk down the street and just like say, "Hey, Miyazaki, do this"?
Are they actually like literally like are the offices that close together?
No, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
They're just you just assume they're both Japanese companies.
Yeah,
and
they're both
probably
in
I
owned
imagine that was
Japan.
the most
Yeah, yeah.
racist thing you could say. They're Japanese. They know they live right next to each other.
Yeah, I feel
It's
that
not
they
that big
are.
of a country.
No, it's not.
Right.
It really isn't. It's not that big.
I mean, it's not, and they have an excellent public transportation system.
They
so it probably
do.
wouldn't
They
be that hard.
certainly do. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I would like to see that. I think mainly because Ghibli, it's not just like because like it's anime, but like Ghibli does have like this knack for adapting sort of fantastic fairy tale stuff
Yeah.
in a way that just really works. And so like Spirited Away does it. There's a few other movies that do it right without looking silly. Like there's a lot of stuff in those movies that are objectively kind of silly. Like there's but in Howl's Moving Castle, there's a talking fire, right?
Yeah.
But something about the way they render all of it and put it all together, just you can kind of like just go with it, you know, no matter how ridiculous or silly it looks, you kind of just go with it, you know.
Yeah. Good point.
So yeah, that would be my vote. Is yeah, no live action. I think live action they would have to try to, you know, what it'd be like. I think it would come out sort of like what happened to the Chronicles of Narnia, right? They tried to adapt that
That's
into
right.
another Lord of the Rings style fantasy epic, and it didn't really work, right?
Right.
Because those books are pure fairy tales. They are not gritty. They're not epic. Yes, there's fantasy battles and stuff, but it is not like the Lord of the Rings at all. And those should have been honestly. I would love to see Studio Ghibli just adapt the Chronicles of Narnia.
Right.
It would just make more sense, right? I just think that's all fantasy is not just fantasy. Like there are different sort of genres, and I think they do need to be handled differently.
Yeah, I know there was rumor. Sorry, I really did something dumb, and I'm hiccuping like crazy. But I had some of these peanuts. They're ghost pepper peanuts,
When there's a skull and
Wow.
crossbone on the bag, bro.
Yeah.
and I had water, and now it's gone.
Good job. Now you gotta
So
suffer.
I'm gonna see how
Why?
long I can get through this before
Why
I have
don't
to
Why
get
don't
up and get
you
water.
get some water while we talk about Adam Driver?
No, I have a point. I have a point.
Okay.
Um, so supposedly, Netflix wanted to buy this property and adapt the live action. But since from yesterday we talked to today, come to find out Nintendo is opening up their own studio,
Okay.
and so Nintendo might actually use this to
This will be their first in-house movie.
right. So like what Marvel had to do with a lot of their properties and give them up to make that money. Nintendo's doing the same thing so they can build their studio.
Okay.
So Super Mario's under Illumination, which is produced, Minions. I forgot the other one. That's
Hotel
not Minions.
Transylvania.
Mhm.
Um, you mentioned Minions, but it started off with Gru.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They did a
Gru.
Peanuts movie. Oh shoot. They're the same studio that did Spider-Verse. Into the Spider-Verse. So
Is it?
yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the Sony, it's a
It's Sony
Sony
Pictures, yeah.
subsidiary. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. So yeah, I think a Zelda under Illumination or under their own studio would be actually pretty cool because you could do a lot with that, right?
oh yeah. And I feel that if Zelda's gonna be the first movie in-house for Nintendo Studios, I am more prone to think that they'll make it animation because
Right.
there's
They
there's
have to.
there in there's this embrace of animation in Japanese culture that's more so in the West, more so in West compared to the West. Um, they actually see it as a mainstream serious mode of storytelling, right? In many ways, what Jordan expressed, like there's things that animation can do that helps the audience suspend their disbelief, and it allows that to happen. And I think the Japanese culture understands that, and
Right.
a lot of their storytelling is done through animation, and so
Yeah.
That's a good
so
point. And if they tried to do the animated version in the States, like you can maybe do this with Mario because he's a
right,
funny little guy in a hat.
right,
Um, but like you can only make children's animation or at least all ages animation in the States,
yep,
right? You can only
that's
make
right,
it funny and humorous. You can't do something serious. And like I would prefer Zelda to actually be a serious fantasy epic, right? Of that type. Because what Princess Mononoke was like
oh,
what the that was the most successful film in Japan,
yep,
or at least the most successful domestic film for a
yep,
long time, right? When
yeah,
it's after it came out. That's how, and that's not really a. I mean, I guess it's kind of all ages, but it's pretty violent and it's
yeah.
it's very serious.
First 15 minutes, a samurai's head gets blown off by an
Yeah,
arrow.
yeah,
So yeah,
he's like shotgunning people with a freaking arrow, blowing
yeah,
people's
yeah.
arms off and stuff. Yeah.
It's like what?
Um, and the monsters, right? The
Yep.
mutated beasts are
Yeah.
horrifying, right? And that made more money in Japan than anything else had up until that point. So, except I think what was it? Titanic was the only movie that had been bigger, because it was the '90s, I guess. Yeah, I would love to see that same level, of money for starters, but also like care and craft put into a Zelda animated movie rather than like a live action Hollywood style sort of thing.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I think I would want maybe a series rather than a movie because there's just so much Zelda story to tell,
It depends on which
especially between
Zelda.
all the games. You know,
That's a good point. It depends on which Zelda we're talking about. Because like Breath of the Wild could be like a whole series,
right?
right? And that's just so much stuff they could do there. Whereas like if you want to just be like the classic original Zelda story,
Right.
that could be done in an hour and a half or 2 hours, right? And then
Yeah.
there's the 10 different versions of Zelda that they've done in between. So
like me personally, the most popular, um, well-known Zelda is the N64 Zeldas.
Okay, so Ocarina of Time and Majora's
Right.
Mask.
Yeah. To me, I feel that set up what Zelda is today. Like, of course, you got the original Zelda. Super Nintendo Zelda was just Nintendo Zelda, right? But the N64 Zelda will really change everything. Where you're like, you have that third person. You're walking through
yeah.
more gadgets, a lot more features. I felt the story was a lot bigger too. You
Oh
go
yeah.
into different worlds. Those characters are huge, like literally huge. Especially when you got to that mountain, that rock mountain.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Um, but from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong. You guys may not. You guys may know. If not, I'll look it up. But um, in the GameCube, those are alternate universe Zeldas, right? Like they're not the same timeline. It's a different universe, a
There
different Zelda or a different Link, I should say.
there are multiple timelines,
Yeah.
and I believe the official story is something like they're reincarnated repeatedly throughout history. But there's also multiple timelines.
Right.
But they also, God, there was an interview with one of the creators of one of the games where he kind of just said like, yeah, like it's all kind of in the same world, and but don't worry about it too much, right? Because like because Breath of the Wild, they said is like 10,000 years after Ocarina of Time. Basically,
Right.
they're just saying like it's like way, 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 way. Don't worry
So
about it. It's way
in
the
essence,
future.
it's a new story. Right. Exactly.
Yeah, but they are all different. They are technically different people, even though they're supposed to be reincarnated, right? They're like reincarnations of the same spirit or something. I've also heard it explained as like it's a recurrence of. It's not like the same people, but it's kind of like this recurring thing. Like people like, were fated to repeat these cycles of death and rebirth, right?
Aren't they all called Link? Isn't each character called Link?
They are, but they're not the same person.
Yeah.
That actually comes up in what is it? Is it Majora's Mask where Link meets the old Link? Two Links meet. There's a ghost. What's his? He's introduced as like this knight. He's got like a helmet. He's a ghost, and you meet him as Link, and then you discover that he's actually Josh, you're muted or something. But you discover that he was actually the previous Link.
Okay. Okay.
The sand guy, right? The one that's in like the turban. That one?
No, there's
No,
like
that's
a knight.
Princess.
Yeah, that ends up being the princess. Yeah, no,
Yeah, that's
there's a
Shade.
knight.
Yeah.
And I forget what he's called, but he's you meet him as a ghost, and it turns out that he's the spirit of the past Link, who couldn't rest because his quest wasn't like really done, right? I think it was the hero of time, like that's what they call him, because that was like the title given to like the original Link. So yeah, it's not the same person, but it's like the same spirit being reincarnated in different people. It's weird. But I think you're also not supposed to think about it that much, right? Like, but yeah, I mean, to be fair though, that is part of what makes it work. Is you could just do one adaptation after another, and they could be all slightly different, and you just don't worry about it too much, right? They can just keep making shows. What was that? There was an anime series like that, where every season was the same characters, but they weren't the same characters in each season. They would tell a completely different story, and all the characters would just be like different people.
I don't
Doctor
know.
Who?
Tenchi Muyo?
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah, Tenchi Muyo. He was like the main character in every story, but like each one was just a completely different story.
Yeah, that's right.
And the characters
That's right.
all be different. It was almost like they were bringing back the same actors and just doing like a what's the term for this when it's
An anthology.
an anthology series, like American Horror Story, right?
Right.
And I remember watching that as a kid, and it kind of blew my mind a little bit because they had it on Toonami.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
didn't and I'd never seen anything like that. And so that first, like, I'd watch a set of episodes and the story would end, and then the second season, instead of being continued, it was like, what?
It's a
going on?
different,
Completely different story.
Yep, that's a good point. So, yeah,
Anyway.
and that being said, like I'm really if Nintendo is having their own studio and their first movie is gonna be Zelda, I'm more confident that it's gonna be good. And the funny thing is, what they'll do is if the first iteration of the movie is really, really good, like super successful, then they'll do a live adaptation of it, and so it's a win for both folks but I think animation I think it will fit better for this. And I don't really need a retelling of Ocarina or Majora's Mask or even the first one.
Right.
It would be nice just to have a Link movie, and like they do their own thing, or they make their own story for it.
This is that's a good point. This is definitely an unrealistic pipe dream, but it would be very cool if, and I know Nintendo would never do this because they're too controlling of their IP. It would be very cool to see every year just a different Zelda series done by a different studio. In a completely like in their own style. It would be very cool to see. What are they called again? The studio that's done all the Netflix stuff, Castlevania, stuff like that.
Oh shoot, yeah.
It would be great to have them do a series, in one of the different Zelda timelines, and then it'd be great to see. Is it? No, it's not Illumination. They did. Simon's looking it up right now. They did He-Man and they did Castlevania and Blood of Zeus.
The anime.
Powerhouse
Studios.
Powerhouse.
It would be great to see a version of, done by them that was more action oriented, right? It would be great to see a Studio Ghibli style thing then, doing something with Breath of the Wild, where it's a bit, where the themes are about the natural world and cycles of recurrence. And, it'd be
Pixar.
It'd be great to see a
Pixar
Pixar version. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't mind it. If I knew that wasn't the only version we'd ever get, right? I think it would.
They would get the GameCube version for sure.
You know what I'd like to see? I'd love to see Pixar do Four Swords. You remember that one?
Yeah.
There's four links that are different colors.
Yep.
A cute little all ages version.
That cell shading. I think that would be actually really cool. That'd be fun.
Oh, the one where he has a boat, the cell shaded
one.
Yeah.
The Wind Waker or something.
Wind Waker,
like
yeah.
Wind Waker.
That's
one of the most underrated ones, they say, that game.
It's a good game.
I haven't played that one.
It's fun. It's absolutely fun. Yeah.
I remember seeing people play it when it came out in the stores, and I didn't have a GameCube, but it did look very relaxing. Like, you just sail across the sea to different islands, and
yeah. And part of the mission is to basically map out the entire ocean, right? And so you have to find this talking fish within each square, and it's just like, oh, you found me. Okay, let me mark the map for you and stuff like It was really fun. It was a good game.
That sounds delightful.
It did. It was.
Sounds delightful. All right. So I feel like
Simon.
Yeah. It's time to
all right.
Come on, Simon. Bit of news.
I was setting something up, but I got to. Anyways. All right. Let me try it. Well, word on the street is with the upcoming rumors of Fantastic Four, many are curious of who's gonna be the star. We know from the rumor mill that one particular name is the one and only Adam Driver. We don't know what role he'll play in the Fantastic Four film, possibly Dr. Doom or possibly Reed Richards. What do you guys think?
Oh, that was way better than the last two. I'll tell you that. That was good, Simon.
Thinking it through.
You don't need to rock back and forth and swing around in your chair, though. I think you can just.
No, I have to fidget. I really have to.
It's his ADHD,
yeah,
Jordan. His ADHD.
Yeah, I gotta play with things.
You look like you
that sounded horrible.
NASCAR or something. Yeah, please don't say that.
Yeah, that sounded really bad.
I would love to have Adam Driver play Dr. Doom. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I also think he would work well. I think I previously I'm going on record saying I don't think it's going to be either. I don't think they're casting him as either.
Now, why? Why, Jordan? Why would you say that?
Jesus, okay. Okay.
Because all the facts that are in front of us, let's see.
Yeah. No.
Spill
Sounds
the
like
beans.
asking me to justify myself.
Yeah.
My main reasoning mostly boils down to Adam Driver is nearly 40, right? Like he's not young.
True.
He's a pretty young look. He looks young for his age, but he's definitely
Right.
not young. He's a pretty big name, and Marvel definitely likes when they cast these big roles. It seems like they do like to find up and comers, probably because they're cheaper, but also because they can lock them into contracts early in their career, right?
Sure.
I don't know who aside from like what Robert Downey Jr.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
He
but Josh
played
Brolin,
a villain for a long time,
he did,
and he's
but
a big name.
But he wasn't actually like a central character. He was like he had one scene in like a bunch of movies, and then he was in like 2 movies. Right?
Guardians of the Galaxy was a big scene.
One scene.
After that, I think it was a cut scene. You're right,
Yeah.
where he finds the gauntlet, right, puts it on, and
I'll
then
just do it myself. That was his line.
yeah.
That's the thing. They hired Josh Brolin to come in for one day, record a few lines. That was all he had to do, and then he came back to do some stuff for 2 movies.
2 big movies. Yeah.
You can do that with a big name star, right? Adam Driver's been in a big old franchise that he was in for like 10 years, right? I'd be surprised if he wants to do another big old franchise.
Was it 10 years or was it every year a Star Wars movie came out?
Well, it was like every 2 years. So he would have been involved for nearly a decade.
Yeah,
Including, like
man, that's
pre-production
crazy, dude.
and it's like it's a big commitment. And he was a pretty big part of all 3 movies. So like I'd be surprised if he'd want to do that again, because this would also be a huge commitment. This is another like decade-long thing he'd end up doing.
I feel like Doctor Doom would be longer than 10 years, dude.
Maybe. Yeah.
His character, like Doctor Doom's huge, man. He like dabbles in everything, right?
He'd be
You got
like what,
Fantastic
55
Four.
by the time they finally were done with him.
And you know what's crazy is like Doctor Doom at 55 will still be probably more dangerous than the Doctor Doom at 40.
Okay, but the real man, Adam Driver.
Right? Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, like he would look great even as like Adam Driver, an older Doctor Doom would even look great.
Oh no, look, I'm not saying it wouldn't be great. I'm just saying from Adam
Sure.
Driver's perspective.
You just don't think it's going to make sense for him.
Does he want to do it? And I think
Sure.
most of the actors who've been attached to these have definitely shown, like after 2, maybe 3 movies, they're like, man, they're done, right? Like having.
Yeah. And that was one of the reasons why we won't have a Josh Krasinski, Reed Richards. You know what I'm saying? You know, so like he didn't want to be trapped, or he didn't want to be locked in for like 4, 5, 6, 10 movies. You know, it's just like it's too much for me. Also,
Is that what he said?
he's
Simon?
directing
Is
his
that what
own
he said? Or are you
movies.
just saying that?
So while I was catering for that lunch, yes, that's exactly what he said, Josh.
So I think
I love when Simon puts like words in these actors' mouths. Like that's what he said. He doesn't want to be locked down for 6 years, and he has no evidence where that's said at all. He's just saying this.
I
and
mean,
speaking for
he's
people.
currently committed to like this show on Amazon, right? The
Jack Reacher
Jack, yeah,
That's a
no,
great
not Jack,
too.
Jack Reacher.
or
Jack
Ryan.
Ryan?
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan.
Yeah, Jack Ryan.
Yeah, Jack Ryan.
So I mean, clearly he's
Ryan.
not afraid of like committing to a franchise. I think he's just too old. Like,
Yeah,
he
I
looks
think
the part
Marvel
now.
made that decision. Yeah,
Yeah, and he directs his own movies and stuff, so he probably doesn't care that much, you know.
yeah. I think they want a young Reed Richards to
Yeah.
build out because he's going to be the Fantastic Four is going to be the next Avengers for the next 20 years.
And I think that means they also want a young Doctor Doom and everyone else involved in that. So I suspect Adam Driver, whatever role he plays, it'll be more of a supporting role. I mean, it's not impossible that they could hire him for one of those central roles, but I don't. Just from a practical perspective, I just don't see how that works long term. You know, Marvel has shown this repeatedly that they do not make their decisions based on clout, right? They hire up and coming actors. If someone doesn't agree with the direction they're going, like we saw with Ant-Man, they will show them the door, no matter how popular they are. You can just look at DC to see why they do things this way, because DC has repeatedly brought in like big names and
ruin things.
And just let them run wild and ruin things, and that's why
The Rock, The Rock.
Yeah, that's why they gave an entire movie to a C-list villain that most people have never heard of in their lives.
And made him like the star of the
made him the
franchise.
star. and set
and
up
like
a fight with Superman.
a universe, yeah, where him and Superman are the two top tier.
Oh my god. It's
So
so
you,
funny that
so
movie
you, you,
exists.
you, you accuse me of putting words in people's mouths. I know exactly what happened in that meeting. Where it's just like, okay, I know he's a bad guy, this Black Adam, but the Dwayne the Rock Johnson wants him to be a good guy. It's like, well, the IP does not ever point that out. No, 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 no. This is Dwayne the Rock Johnson's new Black Adam, and we're gonna make him a good
Is
guy.
that how Dwayne the Rock Johnson refers to himself
Oh,
all the
I'm
time?
pretty
Yeah,
sure. I'm
yeah,
pretty
I
sure
think
that's
so too.
exactly how he addresses himself. That way.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen him say it in some videos. Yeah, this is the Rock's dinner tonight. And he goes on how he's splurging and
I'm imagining
his
him
cheat night.
Yeah.
sitting at a table with the executives being like, yeah, I just like, I don't know if that's great for the Rock's brand. I know he's like a villain. What if he wasn't? It's like, I guess we could make him kind of an anti-hero and stuff. I mean, we haven't really plotted out the second Shazam movie. Like, but what if we gave him his own movie?
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean,
Wait,
I
what?
guess we could sort of like work something out where like he kind of like is introduced in his own film and stuff, and then maybe we could build up to like, him fighting Shazam. But what if he bought Superman?
Yeah, like, wait, what? What if
while
we
he's-
shift the powers?
Yeah, what if we? And while he's talking, they keep saying yes because the executives just keep switching out of the room.
Right.
Every question, it's the first question he asks the second they walk in the room, and then they get replaced with somebody else. And
Yeah.
and next thing he knows, he's the executive producer of the the DCU.
That's right. Exactly. That's
for about
exactly
12
right.
months.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
making his own universe. Yeah,
Yeah.
No, that's crazy, man. Freaking The Rock, dude.
Yes.
All
All to say that yes, this is why I have a hard time believing Adam Driver is going to be Reed Richards or Doctor Doom, and I think he's going to play some other potentially pivotal role. There's a lot of characters around the Fantastic Four that haven't been introduced yet. So
Yeah, you got Silver Surfer,
Galactus.
Mole Man, Galactus. That's an interesting character. I think that's going to be the world ender, right?
yeah, but I mean, they might want to set stuff up earlier. That comes back later.
Right.
Who is it? Because doesn't their son Reed Richards and their son come back from the future at one point? Like his
Yeah. Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards.
He's actually a
and-
mutant. Did you know that?
Yeah, like he's like a Omega level. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's a tier or anything.
No,
you're absolutely right.
Something
There's
with
a
that.
Milo.
They could be
Yeah,
doing something
maybe.
with that.
Maybe.
Mother,
You know,
father.
he comes back and tells them that they have to go on this mission for the future, for the sake of the future.
All right, Simon. Thanks for that, dude. Appreciate you stepping in. We didn't have no one to fill that spot, and you came and you owned it.
You're
Appreciate that. All those great topics you brought up today. I'm glad you found them.
Yeah.
Really did appreciate that.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. It's what I do best.
Right, we're gonna move on now. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah. All right.
Appreciate it. So, big current events stuff that came out. Not really that big, but interesting things nonetheless. So, you don't have to take my word for it, but here's some of our opinions on some things. Ezra Miller just pled guilty to multiple charges. With him pleading guilty, his sentence has gotten reduced to mental health help. Sorry, he has mental health issues, but mental help. So he's going to be seeing a psychiatrist, all that fun stuff. With Flash coming out this year, and everyone out there, even executives, WB's own executives, boasting and saying this is going to be a huge hit. When James Gunn took this role as, was it president? Co-president?
Creative
Yeah.
director,
Chief creative. Yeah. Chief creative.
something like that. Yeah.
Something like yeah.
He had to be made aware right away, like, hey, we got this huge movie. It's going to be a hit. You got to deal with Ezra Miller. What do you want to do? If you guys were James Gunn, what would you guys do with Ezra Miller? especially if you guys got this hot movie where it's a Flashpoint movie. It's a great concept, great comic book, and we bring back the most iconic Batman of our generation, right?
Michael
What's his name?
Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Um, and supposedly some really good stuff, really good storylines, a lot of emotional scenes that we got going on. It's an emotional story. What would you guys do with Ezra Miller? Let's say it's a hit. It's a blockbuster making billions of dollars. What would you guys do?
Well, the idea of this film is that it's a reboot, right? It's like because of Flashpoint, it's going to start off everything else. It sounds to me that James Gunn wants to reboot, right? He wants to do his own rendition of the DC characters. That's the reason why we won't have Cavill. That's the reason why we won't have Gal Gadot, and that's why we see Jason Momoa not being Aquaman and possibly being Lobo, right? It's going to be a revamp. It's going to be a restart. It'll be weird then, in my opinion, to bring it would continue on with Ezra Miller as the main Flash. That I think it'd be weird, and I think it'd be challenging and an obstacle. Because as I shared before, it's just like, why keep this guy who's clearly like a degenerate in society at this moment and definitely needs some mental health recovery and all that. Why
Do you
keep
mind just
him?
sharing a couple of his charges he has? Do you know a couple that he had on the top of your
I
head?
Man, I'm just I no, I don't know any specific, but I
And
know that
I'm not picking on you. This is some real sick stuff. Like he captured a couple in Hawaii, locked them in their house, stole their goods, threatened them at gunpoint to kill them, and cut them.
well, there you go. There you go.
And these are people that housed him in Hawaii. They're like
Like, were these people he knew, or?
he knew, and he said, "Hey, do you mind if I stay here for a couple of days?" Ended up turning to a month, and then he just went psycho on him, locked him up. Hit an issue at a bar, karaoke, went off, started throwing chairs at people, threw a couple punches. Um,
There was a bowling alley incident.
yes, at a
So
karaoke.
So
okay.
this is
Well, there you
all
go.
this is all in addition to that one video that went around where it was like he grabbed that woman,
Right.
like he was
Yeah. So
choking
that's
that
what
woman,
I
right?
know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He choked out a fan. Was choking
So
a fan.
so here's my thoughts. Like, yeah, I don't know anything about Ezra Miller. I clearly stuff going on there. Ezra Miller needs some help, I guess. I would say though that this is all a little bit beside. Like, if I were responsible for this, right? If I were the creative director, and I would also want to reboot. I've gone on the record, I think, a few times with you guys, like, not a fan of Snyderverse, never was.
What?
Even at its best, I don't think it's very
No.
good, and at its worst, it's become an absolute disaster, right? Like, it's a mess. And I think the best thing to do would just be to reboot it, because I think the mistake they made early on was they didn't really establish the world of DC in a way that was sustainable, that you could use to generate a lot of stories for 10, 20, 30 years. Because that's what they want to do ultimately, is they want to rival the MCU, and that means you need to lay some foundations, right? And in the very second movie, they bring together Batman and Wonder Woman and Superman and kill Superman. So, like, that is not how you build a franchise.
Right.
We know that he's writing a new Superman movie. I think that's the way to go. Start fresh. I would say the same here, regardless of Ezra Miller or anything they may have done, regardless of the success of the Flash movie. I don't think any of it matters. Like, in the long term, I think the right thing to do would be to start with that new Superman movie, see how well it does, right? Hopefully it's good, and hopefully it does well. And then expand from there, one step at a time, right? I think there's an opportunity to introduce some of these B and C list DC characters that have gone ignored for our entire lives, right? This is one of the things the MCU, and particularly James Gunn, has succeeded at, which is building a profile of characters who were not that popular to begin with.
True.
And DC is full of them. and they have rebooted Batman like 10 times, right? Like, I'm sure we can find some space for Martian Manhunter, Blue Beetle. I mean, I know they've got that Blue Beetle movie, I think, planned out
And I
already.
hope, yeah, I hope that's not in the trash. I
No,
hope they. Okay,
it's
great.
coming out this year.
Because
And
Blue
It's
Beetle's
is it Jaime in
that kid from
yeah.
Karate Kid, or
Oh, is that
no,
who's
Cobra
playing him?
Kai.
Cobra Kai? The
Yeah,
son, the
the
woman's
Mexican kid.
son
Yeah,
that
Oh,
the dude
okay,
kind of
okay.
becomes like a surrogate father to, like
yeah, yeah.
a
He's
really
gonna be
really
Blue
bad
Beetle.
surrogate father.
Yeah, is it like Billy Reyes or something like that? The
Jaime
character's name,
Reyes, I think, is the
Jaime
character. Yeah,
Reyes.
yeah. Ted Kord is like the original, but then Jaime
Yeah.
Reyes like
Right.
finds the scarab,
Yeah. Scarab.
and yeah, um, and yeah, it's and that's a great way to enter too into a universe that is a little bit established, is they because I think one of the things about DC is you do have these really big iconic Golden Age characters, and we don't need to start over and see the origin of Superman again and the
Sure.
origin of Batman again. I hope that we get, Superman year 2 sort of thing. Like, like he's already Superman. We don't need to see the spaceship crash land in a cornfield
Right.
again.
Right.
And this could be a world where, yeah, Ted Kord maybe was the Blue Beetle in the past, right? And Jaime Reyes like finds, his secret hideout and his technology, and that's a way to sort of open up the universe a bit, right?
I
I'd
loved
love
how
to
you
see.
name dropped our podcast right now, Jordan.
Are we
That
actually
was.
calling it that?
Well, yeah, that's what I
Okay.
thought.
I don't know. I feel like every time we record, there's like a 10-minute discussion about
We're like
it,
a
and
we're like a
then we just
90s
decide
movie.
we'll figure it out later.
Oh, okay.
I
All
I
right.
would like to see them use Superman to introduce Lobo, because it sounds like they want to do Lobo, which means they could introduce other space characters like the Martian Manhunter, and
Or a
potentially
Mega Man,
or a Mega Man, or the
that'd be
Green
cool.
Lantern Corps,
Yeah.
Green
in a way
Lantern
that doesn't
Yeah.
Corps.
suck.
What are the new gods too? Those are pretty good. The
Yeah.
Jack Kirby's creation, dude. Those are really great ones too.
There's a lot of stuff that's been done so well multiple times in animation, either in the JLA cartoon, right, from the Timiverse or whatever they call it. Young Justice has done a lot with the New Gods, probably more than
Good
any
stuff.
show.
Yeah.
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 And there's a lot of really visually interesting characters that have interesting themes that could be explored. Like, this isn't just. I think this is important. It doesn't just have to be a carbon copy of the MCU. DC. What did I say? I mentioned this last time. There was sort of like Stanley's explanation for Marvel. It's 10% more realistic than
Yeah.
DC.
Right.
Right.
So, but the trade off there is like DC does have big themes that you can discuss there. Superman, like Captain America, like leads the nation and saves America, but Superman like saves humanity, and Superman
He
is
says
about
universes.
Superman is
Infinite
about
Crisis.
the ultimate destiny of man, right? Like there's like big ideas there. And Kirby and the New Gods, like these are big characters with big themes.
Right.
And if done right, that is what sets them apart from Marvel, which is more grounded, right? So yeah, I would not worry about whether the movie does well. They're not going to build the DC animated universe on Batman '89. As much as I think it's going to be fun to
Right.
see him come back, Michael Keaton is not going to be Batman for 10 to 20 more years.
The original rumor was that this was going to set up a Batman Beyond, right, and have Michael Keaton play that. But again, James Gunn said every single character's name except Flash, and I think for the purpose, he said every character's name that's going to be rebooted, right? So he said Aquaman, Superman, Wonder Woman, all these other characters, but he didn't say Flash. He said he's going to have to wait and see, but that's because if he says we're going to reboot it,
No one's going to
half the people that don't know,
Yeah.
Aren't going to want to go see it. Like, what's the point of watching it then? So why mention that? I think it's just to save face, save some money, but you think eventually he's gonna have to reboot that character, unless he really feels that needs to be an anchor character going on. Like he needs to be one that says true, and like he brings up, because I know he had a long conversation with Henry Cavill. And Cavill did mention that there might be future projects with his involvement in the future, which, Time Crisis, Kingdom Come, things like that, if they want to do separate, which would be pretty cool. If we see him in 5 or 8 years and, he's Kingdom Come Superman.
I don't think he should come back as Superman. I think they should just give
At
him
all.
at all. I think they can just give him a new role. There's plenty of characters that I think he could be a good fit for.
He
Just
could be
like
one of the new gods.
Bingo. There's a lot
Or
of new
what if
gods.
what if he's like Booster Gold? That'd be so great.
That'd be dope. No. That'd be dope. I would love that. That'd
Henry
be so
Cavill in a comedic role? That would be
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
Right?
The total
I mean, he
opposite
did
of
Uncle-
Superman in every way.
Yeah. Yeah. You would forget him who he was right away, right? You'd be like, oh wait, this is a new character.
man.
That'd be great.
That would be pretty
That'd be
funny.
cool.
It would be funny to see, yeah, like this big, tall, broad-chested, heroic-looking guy, but he's Booster Gold. Like that's his whole thing, right? Is he looks like such a superhero, winning smile, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but then he's like, his whole thing is like, what can I do to like make money
Right.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
in this situation?
That'd be hilarious,
Oh,
dude.
that'd be good.
And he's from the future, you know what I mean? So he's like trying to play things off, and he really can't do it as well.
Right.
Oh man, I watched Uncle, the Agents of Uncle or something
Man
like that.
from Uncle.
With
Yeah, the man from
there you go,
Uncle.
yeah.
He's good in that.
And I thought that was I thought that was really great. So that's why I was like, oh, he'd be a great Booster Gold.
I think it would behoove Gunn to not try to just reboot the big characters as fast as possible. I wouldn't mind them letting the Flash just leave him for like a few years down the line. I also think, and this is why I kind of like, I don't think it matters if the Flash movie does well, because like you said, Josh, it's Flashpoint. And part of the problem with the DCU is that they jump straight into all these like really late series things. Flashpoint is something you do 20 years after the TCU started.
Right.
Not literally like Kingdom Come is something you do 20 to 30 years after. Like these are not beginning stories. These are not how you kick things off, right? I think you need to build up these characters and create the Justice League and do this stuff. And you've got 10 to 15 years before you even need to think about stuff like Flashpoint. That's just too... The stuff you need to know to even understand that story, like most general audiences don't know.
Right.
And yeah, introduce Booster Gold as a character. That's the sort of thing they should be thinking about, right? Nobody knows who Booster Gold is outside of like the three of us. Like,
Right.
like Booster, like he's so obscure. I would love to see them build out the world of Metropolis more, and I would love to see them figure out how they're going to involve Batman. If it's not going to be the version of Batman we're getting in The Batman, which looks like it's its own thing, they're going to have a.
I really think they could do the Question without doing Batman.
I
Do
would
the
love to
Question
see the
before
Question.
Batman,
Yeah,
and have the Question set up a Batman.
maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. That could work. I would love to see them set up the world. Like the Wonder Woman movie was good. I don't think they did enough to set up Themyscira, like Themysciran society, very well the way it is like in the comics. They were kind of reduced to like, we're tough women who fight. Like in the comics, there's like a whole lot more to Wonder Woman and Themyscira and the Greek gods, and in the movies so far, it's not that deep, right? It would be interesting to set that up more, and to like kind of set it up as a real functioning society that you can kind of believe exists, right? Because like they never answer in the movies, like, so are they all immortal, or are they all like,
Right.
what is the deal? Like, why are they, right? Like, how do the Themis, like, this is a thing that the comics will touch on occasionally, but yeah, how do they reproduce and create more Amazons, right? How does this work?
Grab some clay.
Right.
Yeah, right. That's one of the things, but they never touch on any of that. So I would like to see that. I would like to see them put on screen real high quality versions of cities besides Gotham and Metropolis. I would like to see Central City for real. I would like to see what's the Starman? What's it called? Opal City, right? I would like to see other places in the DCU besides just Gotham and Metropolis. It's always just Gotham and Metropolis,
Right.
So
Right.
San Francisco and Oakland. That's all it is.
yeah, they just
You know what would be a cool one too to set up before Batman is a Mr. Terrific, right? Because he's like the other smartest person in the world, right? More tactical, smartest person,
Okay. I'd like to see that, yeah.
and then bring in Batman after that. You know what I mean? And show.
So there's a pattern, right, of Batman always kind of being almost like a mentor figure. Like he's usually around first. They've done that multiple times in like different versions of the DC universe, right? Maybe they should change that. Maybe you establish all these other characters, and Batman is not an elder member of the Justice League. Maybe he comes along after Superman's already established, and all these other characters.
So I was thinking more on the level like to make Batman more godlike on Superman's level is you establish these very smart people and you're like, oh, these are very smart. Like Mr. Terrific's very smart. The Question's a very smart guy. All these guys are very smart, and then Batman comes in later and really, trumps all of them in his intelligence and kind of shows them like, I'm the real king here when it comes to conspiracy theories, when it comes to building, creating. Like, you guys, that's cute. Hold my beer, and then you could build that, trifecta of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. I'll build all these characters, these smaller level characters, and oh man, these guys are like badass, and then boom, here comes Superman, here comes Wonder Woman, here comes Batman to really show them all like, that's cool, but here's another level.
Josh, the way that you're describing the introduction of Batman in the DCO is kind of similar to our description of how we want to see Wolverine introduced in the MCU.
Yeah.
Whereas just like the idea is like, let's make Wolverine actually a villain. And he's like in the background, right? Like you hear stories about this guy, and then like he finally comes in and he's actually brainwashed by the Hand first, and like trying to break him out of that and learn and to see kind of that arc of him like trying to redeem his life because of that. He's like, anyways, it would be interesting to see the Batman behind the scenes, right? And like in some movies, you don't explicitly say it, but like there's certain things where it's like, okay, something happened where someone intervened. We just don't know how. And then you hear rumors of just like, there's this guy lurking in the shadows of Gotham doing A, B, and C. What is he all about? And stuff like that. That would be actually kind of fun. That'd be interesting. And then finally we have the big wait and the big reveal. It's like, I'm Batman.
Yeah, I'm the best there ever was.
Yeah. So
the greatest detective. Because you already got like a bunch of origin Batmans. You know what I mean?
Right.
You already got like the first level, like first 2 years of Batman. We're at the end of the Batman, where he's kind of like afraid of everything, afraid of, people more powerful than him. But what if we get Batman where he's at his prime? You know what I mean? He's just like nothing. He's unstoppable. He's at his sharpest. He's at his brightest. He's at his most feared. That'd be pretty cool.
So, okay, I'll add to that now. Like, Jordan, I think one time you said that basically there was a story of Batman. No, it was the Batman where like he's like basically an authoritarian, like he acts like an authoritarian basically. The way that he does things. What
like
if
in the Batman, like in the movie?
In the Batman, exactly. Yeah, exactly. What if he's the bad guy? What if the heroes are trying to have this ideal of just like, like we can't cross these boundaries, but Batman does. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's like say there was like a criminal. I know he has that ideal not to kill, but like what if we make this Batman? It's like, hey, sometimes we got to kill these superpowered people. Like what they wanted to do for Batfleck. You know what I'm saying? It was like, oh yeah, this is an extraterrestrial. We don't know the capability he has. We seen a person bent on destruction, and they have the same capabilities. Of course, we need to kill this guy. Kind of thing. Yeah. It's just like, I think it would be really interesting to actually see them actually ride with that authoritarian kind of bent that Batman sometimes exudes. And it's just like, hold up, you got to stop. And it's like, no, I'm not going to stop.
Batman doesn't have a problem. Batman won't kill, but he doesn't have a problem paralyzing you. He doesn't have a problem like ripping your eyes out. He doesn't have a problem like breaking your hands. Oh, he's in trouble. Hey, shut the F up, Simon. Okay? I know you're excited about this nerd right now, but you need to relax, okay? I'm trying to sleep. I got work tomorrow, Simon.
Sorry.
Is that what happened right now?
No.
You know what happens in my house?
What?
Nothing. You know why? Because I'm a homeowner.
I'm sorry, my lord. I'm sorry. I will till the garden for you. I'll till the land tomorrow.
Just hanging that mortgage over his head. Yeah.
He's a landowner.
Look at all this equity I'm building, Simon.
Just kidding. But no, I think if he's gonna introduce Superman first, like, well, that'd be cool to have Superman has a little fear of Batman too. You know, they're like, well, Batman, he's over there in Gotham doing his thing. We don't mess with him. And he tries to play it off like, well, because, we're busy doing bigger things, saving
They
the earth.
underestimate him. Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, that'd be
But
great.
like, they are still scared of him because, they don't know who he is. They don't know what he's about. They hear that he's killing, like, almost killing people, breaking limbs, paralyzing these
Torturing.
people, villains, right? Um, that'd be actually pretty cool.
I think it'd be interesting to have like 10 years of the DCU where we don't see Batman. But we see him, but we don't. You know what I'm saying? I think that'd
Right.
be actually really interesting. I think that'd be fun. But
You know what Batman I like the most is the Batman Superman Batman, because they make him on par with Superman, right? Like, Superman is really reliant on that Batman. You remember those runs, the Superman Batman run?
oh, I see. I thought you were talking about the movie, and I was just like, really? Like you liked it?
No, the comic books. Sorry,
Yeah,
I should have
yeah.
prefaced
No,
the
no,
comic
it's
books for
okay.
Superman
I
Batman.
haven't read those. So.
They're actually really good. I like them. I think they're written or drawn by Scott Campbell. I'm not
Oh wow.
like, the over buff,
Yep.
big breasted.
Yep. Yep.
But they make Superman and Batman almost equal, right? And Superman's really relying on Batman a whole lot in that series, and that'd be really cool to have a DC. Because I mean, if you don't do that, Batman's going to look like he did in Batman versus Superman when they're fighting Doomsday. He was literally pointless. He shot a grappling gun to get away from this monster bringing down a whole building.
My favorite shot from that whole movie is like Doomsday shows up and there's like an explosion and Wonder Woman, like, she can shield herself and Superman can fly away. Batman literally scurries under a rock in one shot. You know what I'm talking about, right? He scurries under a rock.
Yep. Like, and it's like, where's my shotgun?
Oh my God.
Where's that shotgun?
Oh my God, it was.
And
so
he's getting
funny.
burnt by rays. All these other guys are just barely getting nicked, and he's just like, "It's too hot. I'm gonna die."
I think one of the mistakes that they make with Batman, again, they didn't make this same mistake with like the Batman, but they sort of like, oh well, he's a superhero, right? So he's all about fighting people and stuff, but like he's not a superhero, right? Batman is not a superhero, like by definition, like genre wise. I don't think he's a superhero. He started off as a detective. That was kind of his whole deal, and his villains were like mad scientists and stuff and gangsters, right? And there are versions of Justice League that I think do that well. I don't know if you guys have seen Crisis on Two Earths. It was one of the animated films.
That's a really good one.
I think that nails it. Superman is not stronger than anybody, or even smarter than anybody. And Batman, right? I think Batman, the way Batman works, I think as a character, is that he's,
Always thinking.
well, yeah, but how do I put this? He's not smarter than anybody, but he's more shrewd, right? So this is a whole episode of its own, so I don't want to get too deep into this. But basically, my own theory on this is Batman is our Odysseus, right? That's the role he plays.
Oh, okay.
In contemporary
Okay.
American culture, is the same role that Odysseus plays in the Greek epics, right? So,
Right.
the Odyssey and the Iliad.
Right.
And Odysseus is not the smartest guy in the room or the strongest or the fastest or anything, but he's the only guy who survives everything, right?
The luckiest.
He's the luckiest, yeah. His patron, all the Greek heroes have a patron god. His patron god is Athena,
Right.
the goddess of basically cleverness and just warfare and technology, right? And that's how Batman works. He is more than his opponents. He doesn't outsmart the Riddler, right? He cheats. When the Riddler plays a game with him, he cheats, and the Riddler can't cheat. So he can never beat him because he's more than the Riddler. He doesn't outfight Bane, right? He's not stronger than Bane. He doesn't out crazy the Joker, right? Like he is a complete man where his opponents are limited. And I think that's what's interesting about him. And I think you see that in Crisis on Two Earths. There's that great scene Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it. But like he manages to survive fights with evil Wonder Woman. He doesn't actually defeat her, right? He survives. He still breaks like 3 different bones.
Like he has 3 broken ribs and he's fighting Owlman.
She breaks his ribs with her finger just like because she thinks
she
it's
just
funny.
presses it. And he's like, ugh.
Yeah. And then he is the one, and ultimately he's the one who has to finish things with Owlman, who is like the evil Batman, right?
Right. The best of like what Batman should be at his prime.
Right. And he wins because he is willing to make a decision. And here's the thing, there's kind of the rule about him not killing people. It's like I've always thought it's not really a rule. It's more like Batman understands that he is working outside the law, and so there has to be a line he doesn't cross. But in that movie, right, he makes a decision to save the Flash's life when the Flash is willing to sacrifice his life and sacrifice someone else instead.
That's right.
And he doesn't tell them that that's going to happen, but he knows it's going to happen.
Right.
And then what is the evil Australian Flash? He's Australian.
Yeah.
He's like, he realized at the very last moment, right, just as he stops running and as he starts aging, right, he's like, oh, you knew this was going to happen, didn't you? He's like, that's why you put me in here, because you'd rather sacrifice my life than his. And Batman just looks at him like, and he doesn't enjoy it. He's not happy about it, but he's willing to do it. And he sees that when no one else sees it, right? To me, that's what makes Batman interesting, is that...
You got to save a lot of this. This is you have a thesis on Batman.
I do.
And it's
I have several
nuts, dude.
theses on Batman.
It's nuts, dude. I want to hear more. I want to jump in and hear more. But we're totally off.
Some other time,
about.
We'll have a secret Hideout episode on.
Yeah. So Ezra Miller.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay. We're okay. All to get back to, I don't think it matters what Ezra Miller does, and I don't think it matters how well the movie does. I suspect that James Gunn already has his plan, and he's going to have to reboot this. And Ezra Miller being a liability makes it easier, right? Because obviously they don't want to build a franchise on this guy who's clearly there's stuff going on.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
right. Well, you guys, it's 10:30. We said we're gonna finish at 10:30.
Right.
I think we can save this next one.
Okay.
Unless you guys want to continue.
I think we can stop here.
Yeah, I think we ended better here.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think the episode would have been done well if we ended on MODOK.
Right. Yeah.
The world is not. I mean, does the world really? Are they waiting with bated breath to discuss MODOK?
No.
I think so.
But the world is ready to hear your thesis on Batman.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
That was amazing. I think I want to piggyback on a lot of your points you had. I literally made notes here, so I'm excited to actually talk about this Batman theory, because there's things that you know, and you just don't put them together like you did. Like, I just assumed, like, we know Batman doesn't kill, but yeah, he's killed a bunch in everything. He's killed a bunch. He's like, he doesn't kill Joker, but he's killed a bunch of other people. You know what I mean? That he could have saved or helped.
Well, he wants to save. Okay, don't get me started. How about this? We'll make a new segment. We'll just call it like Jordan Talks About Batman. And
Yeah.
And you break it down, and we'll talk about
I think for now, let's just say, next. What do we have to look forward to next time? Maybe we'll talk about MODOK. Maybe we'll talk about Batman some more.
Right.
I
would be
I will continue
Velma.
to follow Velma and see where this strange show ends up. As I said, there's a small part of me that's kind of rooting for it to see if they can make it work. And hey, I am personally a big fan of bisexual Velma. I want her to be happy. I don't know if this show is that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Simon, Josh, what are your closing thoughts for today?
I think for myself, I learned a lot as far as I think we want a Captain Planet movie. Bad.
You know what? As much as I hate to admit
we
kind of want a Captain Planet movie.
Yeah. I would never have thought of that. But Leonardo DiCaprio helped push that in our brains, and now I want it. Mm-hmm. I learned no one really cares what Adam Driver's going to do. You know what I mean? If he's going to be in it or not. We just want a Fantastic Four movie. whoever's in it.
Yeah.
We trust in Marvel, and Marvel we trust. They're our Lord and Saviors. And Ezra Miller could kick rocks. I think DC will be the next standard for comic book movies and shows, for sure. Because I kind of feel like Marvel's kind of going downhill, and I think this is a perfect time for DC to like capitalize on that and start changing it and make it something fresh. Right? We've seen it with that Peacemaker, something new, something fresh. Right? A little edgy, but great writing. So
I mean, DC has always done TV and animation better than Marvel, right? Like historically, they've always been better, and they've struggled with film outside of rebooting Batman every 10 years. Where Marvel has never really been great with, except for a few standouts like X-Men from the '90s, but they've never been great at television. I will say this: I like She-Hulk a lot, and I think I'm looking forward to a second season of that, and I'm looking forward to Daredevil. But aside from that, most of it has been pretty, like
they're entertaining, but it wasn't Peacemaker. It wasn't somewhere like we can't wait to see. Moon Knight was okay.
Yeah. It's content,
Ms.
but when
Marvel?
you watch Peacemaker, you feel like you watch that whole season like I have experienced a work of art that had something to say, and it was daring and interesting and original, and it felt truly like James Gunn's
It was
creation.
Andor level.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's where DC is going. But yeah, Simon, any takeaways from you?
I think the consensus has been, or basically, a Legend of Zelda movie should be an animation. It should be animated. And if Nintendo is actually going to create a cinematic or a film studio, and that this being their first project, I'm far more excited to hear that and wait. Hopefully that's true. And I'm very confident if that is the case, it will be an animated movie.
Maybe in our next episode we can discuss what their third property should be, and why it should be Metroid. So,
egad, oh my god!
Because I suspect we're all going to say that. I'm just guessing. I mean,
right,
dude, that is
honestly
so true.
I think that should be live action, though.
You think so?
Metroid?
Who doesn't want to see a live action Samus running around in those tights? Ah,
No.
yes,
No.
Tights?
yes,
See,
yeah,
okay.
because she has that other suit. Remember, she has her Metroid suit. When she's not wearing her Metroid suit, she has that blue zip up.
Oh, the Zero suit. I always forget that exists. No, I don't want to see that.
I don't.
I
don't,
don't
Jordan.
either.
Yeah,
I
want to
I
see.
don't.
I want to see the suit. I want to see the Metroid.
Yep.
Suit.
Yeah, we're gonna
I
see
want
the
the arm
suit.
cannon.
We also want to
and-
see her.
yeah. I don't even
I
want to see
actually-
her face. I think
Right.
it should be. No, it should be a
Mandalorian
Mandalorian
style?
Yeah,
like
that's exactly what it should be.
Yeah.
It should be the best Mandalorian movie ever. That's what it should be.
They do what the game
Live
did.
action or animated?
Yep.
I think live action would work. Personally,
Live action.
Okay.
They did Star
fine.
Wars. Why not?
I
Yeah,
think that's
all
the
right,
kind of
fine.
property where it would work fine in live action.
That's a good point. That's a good
Oh,
point.
but that big old mech suit, they'd have to CGI that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But
But I want to
don't know.
see. I want to. You know what? Honestly, I'd be totally okay with an hour-and-a-half long movie that is just a really good adaptation of just that first game. Like lands on a planet, person in a suit. You don't see
Yep.
their face.
Yep.
Until at the very end, maybe she takes the helmet off, right? Like just like in the game.
Right.
And you just focus on sci-fi horror action, right? Because
Right.
we haven't seen a good version of that in a very long time. They've tried to.
Dead Space.
Yeah, they've been trying to. No, I mean like in movies though. Like they've been trying
Oh.
to bring back aliens over and over, right? And they've sort of combined them with Predator, and it's like, nah, maybe this can be the thing that makes
Right.
that genre work, you know.
okay,
But
so
we're
that all
starting
being
another
said-
episode now, so
Yeah, right,
go ahead,
Right.
Simon.
So-
right.
Thoughts?
Thank you, Simon, Jordan. We got some shenanigans to get into, so let's close up the secret hideout, shut the power off. You guys don't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here. Peace out.
All right.